Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Empyre issue 5. And this was a pretty interesting issue because we get into kind of the end game portion of what's going on with the whole Kotati's plan, the Kree and Skrulls plan, and what we're going to have to kind of do and set up for our giant kind of confrontation in the final issue. So we start off, and actually, I was kind of surprised we got a little bit more insight to Wiccan and Hulkling's wedding. I thought that would be more saved for some kind of like one-shot issue or whatnot. I mean, I'm glad that we got more info on it. That they went to Vegas and they like had a certain amount of time, and they were able to gather like the Young Avengers to be there pretty much, and that was just a nice little thing to kind of see as Wiccan's pretty much proving I know Teddy. What you're describing to me is not Teddy. And of course they're like, well, all right, what are we gonna gotta do with this? And he's like, listen, I can find him anywhere. And we see that his magic is super focused as Carol's commenting like, yeah, you're really focused on this. Your magic's a little bit kind of better on with this. And he's like, oh, I've had to deal with a lot of crap from these people. They've been trying to tear us apart from day one, and I'm not having that. And then they teleport, and I'm like, all right, do not mess with Wiccan. So then we go to where She-Hulk and, well, I call it She-Hulk for lack of a better word of, otherwise you're just like plant thing that is controlling She-Hulk's dead body. So we're just going with She-Hulk. Just beating the holy hell out of the thing. Being like, yeah, I'm not like all these other Hulks. I got a purpose. And that is to kill you. And we see that Mantis and Susan are looking on. And Mantis is like, what do? We got to try and stop this. And she's like, I've been putting up barriers. And she's just punching through them. And she's like, have you tried maybe taking her brain out? And I'm like, yep, I've been trying to do every damn thing I can. And it is not affecting her. And I'm like, god dang. So of course, we see that She-Hulk's then telling him, you know what, Ben, you should just give up and everything. And of course, one of the worst things you could try and tell the thing to do is to give up. And he's like, what? And then delivers this awesome ass punch that fucking flings her off. And he pretty much starts talking about how he's got everybody counting on him, and he keeps seeing the face of the kids that they rescued. And all they've known is war. He's like, I want to do better for him and everything. And he is beat up, really reminiscent of the fight that occurred between the Thing and the Immortal Hulk, the Fantastic Four. So Ben is in pretty rough shape, and he's like, yeah, you know what? You might just call me the Immortal Thing, huh? So that was a pretty nice and kind of badass moment for Ben. I'm like, do it. So we shift over, and we see that Shuri is essentially being ops for T'Challa at this moment, telling him what's kind of going on, that there's like at least fronts on like 5 continents. So it's like, okay, they're using all their forces to pretty much distract everybody else while they send the bulk of their main force to, of course, Wakanda for the mound. And he's like, dang it, all right, so I gotta stop him. I'll stop him. Being a badass, like working through a lot of them, using his own Air Force squadron to pretty much be like, fire on me, I don't give a crap, dodging everything, and he's holding his own. But the thing is, we get to a point where one of the Kotati, like higher shaman people, sacrifices himself to make themselves into that one of those organic kind of warp ways that we'd seen, and out comes a swordsman who stabs T'Challa, and like, yeah, there we go, make way for the Messiah, as of course Koi comes out. Next, we go to the flagship, and we see the person claiming to be Doric to be like, oh, okay, so yeah, they're pretty much wrapped up on that whole mound in Wakanda. The trap will set, and of course the power will do its work. Then of course he notices that Wiccan's there. He's like, yeah, Earth people aren't allowed on my ship anymore. Leave it by your magic or my magician's magic. He's like, yeah, you're not Teddy. Screw you. And then we see that a kind of man in the Iron Mask situation has occurred where somebody got to Teddy and put him in a mask to kind of keep him from anybody really seeing his identity. And we, of course, see that Carol and the Human Torch are there as well to provide backup. And, of course, Teddy's like, hey, yeah, guards, your performance review, you're going to suck. We, of course, see Super Skrull being like, did I fail him again? And I'm just like, I'm not that well versed with Super Skrull. And no, granted, I do learn more as I'm reading more into the Fantastic Four. But he is getting kind of really screwed over on this stuff. I'm like, God damn. So that's like not a good thing. He of course relates that the person that did take him looked like Tenloth, and it's like, oh, okay, that really sets it up that his grandma's trying to screw with his shit. I'm like, yeah, that ain't good. And Carol's pretty much like, yeah, you could pretty much stop trying to think about activating the Pyre. And he's like, why would I activate it twice? I already did that. It's already rising. Screw the monologuing. It's like, well, now we'll do trial by combat. As, of course, Teddy's grandma transforms into kind of like a crazier version of him. Now, granted, it might not be his grandma, but it's pretty much from the information that we've gotten at this point, his grandma. It's really kind of strange when you've got a dude fighting his grandma over an interstellar empire. It sounds nuts when you say it like that, but it's actually working out pretty well. So, as that's kind of going on, we go back to Wakanda. We see that Swordsman is checking T'Challa's pulse and sees that there is no pulse. But I'm like, I don't think you killed T'Challa, man. Like, yeah, I've done something that even Jacques Descanu hasn't done. I probably butchered that, but that's about all I've got. He's like, that's kind of really mundane. Of course, Koi is like, blood loss. He's dead. That's why these animal people die. So he then pretty much gets to planting the seed. We see that She-Hulk is going to town still on the thing. We see other stuff going on across the world. It's like, yeah, soon I'm going to become a god to control the cheese, man. I'm like, okay. That doesn't really sound utopic, though, because then you're the one controlling everybody. Sounds like shit for you and for everybody involved, because that just sounds fucking exhausting. And we then switch over and we see that we are at Avengers Mountain, and they're like, oh, okay, so, yeah, the sun's gonna go kind of crazy, and, well, we've got the whole thing going in Wakanda. We got about 10 minutes for that Death Blossom thing to go on that. And we see that Tony is dealing with, like, the armor and whatnot. I was like, yeah, but we also got to see that the sun is going to pretty much explode in 9 minutes as Reed is putting on the armor. It's like, ooh, I really can't wait to see what that armor does and how that's going to help Reed. I'm going to see if it's kind of stretchy and everything. That's going to be kind of interesting. And what it's going to be able to help him do and all that. And I'm like, all right, yeah, we got to save the world twice over. So let's go with this. So that's where the issue ends, and I really liked kind of seeing everything going on. There was a nice balance of exposition being delivered while action was going on as well. You always have to watch out for that in event comics. My only gripe with this event so far is that we aren't really seeing much of what Cap's doing, and nothing really with Thor. I mean, granted, they had their important bits in the beginning, and I understand that they are not the most important players, as we see that Hulkling and everything going on with the Kree Skrull Alliance, Koi and everything going on with the Gotati are the main big players in this game. But it would be nice to have kind of a little check-in. But I guess that's pretty much the downside of like tie-ins. If you want that, you go into the tie-ins. Now, I haven't really heard much of like what's been going on with Thor's thing, because he's probably gonna bust in like, I found this magical mystical thing, man, ha, boom, and hasha. That'll help out like Tony and Reed and all that kind of stuff. So it is a pretty interesting endgame scenario where they've got 10 minutes for the Death Blossom to do its stuff. The sun's going to blow up in 9. We got, like, the Kree Skrull thing going completely hambo-jambo up in space. And we've got Ben almost being killed by a zombie plant thing, She-Hulk. So it's nuts. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what goes on. And to see if actually it's Wiccan that kicks Hulkling's grandma's ass. Kind of like that. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.